Welcome, everybody, to Breaching the Boardroom. I'm your host, David Mauro, and in the studio today is John Zielinski, CEO of Universal Polymer. And John, welcome to the studio, my friend.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here. Really looking forward to this and appreciate the invite.
No, very excited. So tell us about your current role. You've been in manufacturing for a long time. You've had great success. Tell us kind of what what does Universal Polymer do? And then we can get right into kind of manufacturing specific topics and leadership topics.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Universal Polymer and Rubber, we call it UP&R for short. We're a manufacturer of rubber parts products. We do molded rubber products, extruded rubber products. We do a tiny bit of extruded plastics, but that's just a minutia part, a minimal part of our business. And we supply a variety of verticals globally. The automotive sector, transportation sector, heavy truck bus, manufacture parts for the food service equipment industry. We manufacture a line of tarp straps that hold tarpaulins down on flatbed trailers. It's just a wide variety of businesses. We are what I call a contract manufacturer. Yet what we sell truly is machine capacity and manufacturing expertise. We take our customers' designs and make them to their specifications.
That's what I was curious. Yeah, so that's really interesting. So that's what I was curious about is, do you make products pre-done and then go to market, or are you taking customer designs and then you have the equipment to build it all out so that it can be made and then delivered to that client? It's the latter, right?
It is the latter. And the only, what we call a standard product, again, is our tarp straps. And if you're in the cargo control industry, flatbed truck industry, you know what they are. And
they have to be, and they have to be compliant. They have to be made a certain way so they don't break and cause accidents and all that stuff.
Well, they will break because they're rubber, and that's
right.
As long as they're just holding down a tarpaulin, and we go out of our way to really stress these are not load-bearing instruments. They're not supposed to secure cargo. They are tensioning devices for tarpaulins. And if you ever see a flatbed truck, it'll have probably 30 of them around the perimeter securing the tarpaulin. And unfortunately, one will break eventually. And if it does, it's still just, you still have 29 or 28 tarp straps holding that tarpaulin down.
Got it. But, I love driving behind them. Always makes me nervous. I'm like, that thing's going to fly off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's funny. So, so tell us, you've had a lot of roles in manufacturing. You came up through the sales ranks, through operations. You really are like so deep into it. Before we get to leadership in general, like I want to ask you, I know you recently traveled to Asia. We read a lot, those of us that aren't in manufacturing, but a service provider for manufacturers, like for cybersecurity, IT, things like that. What do you see in the impact for your organization and then the industry overall with a lot of the tariffs that have been going on?
Wonderful. Thank you for that. It's like a slow pitch softball you threw to me.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. But really, the tariffs themselves, we have to deal with them because in manufacturing in North America, the margins are razor thin, and you have to really be efficient in everything you do. So every time you get an unplanned for cost increase, you have to figure out a way to deal with it. And in 2018, during President Trump's first tenure, he instituted first a 10 and then a 15%, so an aggregate of 25% tariffs under Section 301. And we had to raise prices or change some of the product that we buy and resell. And just as a side note, we buy and resell about 6 or 7% of our revenue from China. It's not going to make or break us, but it does add incremental revenue and margin to our business.
Yeah, of
and we
course.
complement all the products we make. There are very few customers that we simply sell import products, and we complement what we make in Ohio with buy and resell from China. But anyway, back to tariffs. We have to raise our prices. That's the only option we have, is either raise our prices or switch the burden of the freight or the tariff to our customers. And we've done that the first go round with the 301 tariffs to a great extent, where especially those customers that have manufacturing locations in Mexico and Canada, because they don't have the same tariff structure. So they're importing direct. We sell the product, it ships, they bear the freight and the import burden. So we've switched that. So we're not paying 25% and then passing it on. They're paying whatever the Canadian tariff is, whatever the Mexican tariff is, which aren't 25 or now 55%. And so we've done that as a circumvention of the tariffs.
Got
And
it.
I mean, it's illegal. It's just a matter of what we're trying to do to use the tools in our toolkit to
Right.
maintain the customer relationship, but at the same time maintain our margins.
Right. Yeah, and it's really boils down to math, doesn't it? Like
It certainly
we
does.
we all want the business, we all want to trade, and so what's the best way? Do we ship it here first and make something there? Do we do it here? And you just kind of coordinate, right?
Yes, yes. For
I mean,
those
I
parts, we
mean,
do.
I mean, you've been in the industry. I want to ask you, what is your feeling about tariffs? Forget what the media says, like on either side, because it's not even accurate half the time. Like for me, I have seen so much of our manufacturing leave the United States in my lifetime, and that is bad. It is not good for our country. So we have to think long term. People don't realize how young of a country we are. All
That's
of
exactly.
these all of these countries that we do business with have been around for thousands of years. We're like 250 years old. Like we're still in the infant stage of a country. And we just always think, well, this is the way it's always been. We've been here forever. I'm like, no, we haven't. This is still like an experiment. We're still very fragile. And so we need to be agile and make things for long term. I'm not saying that is what, like that every decision is correct to do that. I'm just saying we have to keep that in mind when we're really talking about these topics. So tell me what your feeling is and what
But my
you're.
feeling is, had these strong tariffs and global tariffs been put in approximately the early 90s, it
Mhm.
would have been much more beneficial to American manufacturing.
Yeah.
I have two views. First off, the overall view is that manufacturing always chased the low cost labor dollar. I mean, at one time, the low
Correct.
cost labor dollar was the United States, and
Right.
we built the arsenal of democracy on lower cost immigrant labor from first. You know, it might have been the Irish and the Italians, and me, I'm Polish, and the
Yep.
Poles came in.
That's exactly
We
right.
had wave
Yep.
after wave of low cost labor that immigrated, and we built the arsenal of democracy. Then that low cost moved. It moved to Asia, first to China, and now maybe to Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. It's India, and
Right.
if the African continent could ever get very stable governments and infrastructure, that would be the next low cost
Right.
manufacturing environment. But going back to tariffs themselves, what we're trying to do now is probably about 30 years too late. In that, like for instance, I'm in rubber
And we're
parts.
trying to do it fast. You know what I mean?
We're trying
Right.
to do it
And
fast. We
it's more
don't have the
painful.
same infrastructure we had. We don't have the,
Right.
like for instance, in rubber molding. I'm in the Akron, Ohio area, the capital of rubber, if you will.
Yeah.
And
It's
30
where
years
Goodyear
ago,
is from. It's where Goodyear
exactly.
is from.
At one
Yeah.
time in the early 70s, there was 7 global rubber companies had their headquarters in and around Akron. I mean, BF Goodrich,
Yep.
Uniroyal, Goodyear, Firestone, Mohawks. Anyway, but and with all those tire manufacturings, there was ancillary parts, mold makers, die makers, rubber chemists,
All the
and so
subcontractors
there were
supplying the main
subcontractors. There
manufacturer.
was a
Yeah.
supply base to the molded industry. Now, where there used to be 40 mold shops in Northeast Ohio, there's probably 6.
Right.
And those 6 don't have the capacity to support $25 million of projects that are coming back because of tariffs. We don't
Right.
have the infrastructure right now. We're
Right.
seeing that on our defense side of things. We want to have a Navy that competes with China. We don't have the boat building capabilities. So,
Right.
anyway, I'm not going to get all that, but specifically in our business, the tariffs would have been very beneficial in the early 90s before everything moved.
That's really good insight because people don't realize that in general
Yeah,
because we're not in your industry. And
that's
so that's so interesting. Well, we'll see. And hopefully if they stick long term, even if they go slower, it'd be nice if they could just ease their way in as we're developing and rebuilding the manufacturing. That would be a lot easier for
oh
everybody.
boy, that would be
But
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, but I think they just came in and just said, enough. We got to go back and like try this. And we're like, we're not even ready for prime time yet. But,
Yeah, the shock to the
hopefully,
system is great.
yeah, it is a shock to the system, which makes sense. I mean, we all have the same interests, and that's endurance, right?
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So you've made let's segue over to leadership because this is a leadership podcast. So we can talk cybercrime all day if you're interested. You want to talk cyber breaches. So
Hope I don't. I hope I
no,
don't.
I know. Yeah, no, you haven't. You're good. I watch you guys. You guys are good.
Thank you.
Tell me about your journey. You and I have spoken previously. You've got some, interesting stories about like challenges you've overcome, sales models you've focused on, mentorship you've received and given. So walk us through some of that.
I I have always been I started off in sales and manufactured products. And I've always been a salesperson that I didn't want to just sell something. I wanted to know how it was made. And it always intrigued me. And so I would probably if the manufacturing people and manufacturing engineers back in the mid 80s when I started would be honest, they would say, "Man, Z drove me nuts," with just a lot of questions. Yeah, and I wanted to know how it was made. And then when I got in front of a customer, I could answer those questions. My biggest
You
fear,
could speak their language, right? Like you
yes,
were in it with them. So
yes,
that's really good.
and actually, there was some parts that we made that I didn't really understand them, and I'd have an engineer explain it, and then I took the parts home, took them apart, and tried to put it back together again, so I would even understand it from the parts level. Um, and so it was just honestly, it was a fear of failure that drove me, and it drives me every day still to seek improvements in our business, just small improvements. I'm a firm believer in Kaizen, the Japanese term for small change for good or change for good, but they're really just small changes every day. Like
That's very similar to Atomic Habits, right?
yeah,
Because
that's
small incremental, it has a cumulative effect, right? Like you want to lose weight, you can't just go and work out for 2 hours. Like you look at the mirror, go work out, and it's nothing's going to happen, folks. Like, but you know that if you just do a little bit, like twice a week, at some point, and consistently do it, it's easier. And at some point, we can't always say when because everybody's different, but at some point, clothes start fitting, your blood pressure goes down, everybody's happy, you start to see the results, right? But it's those incremental changes that over time really have a compounding effect.
completely. It really is. And it's like that in any discipline of a business. Like, for instance, if you want to improve the collections and you want to reduce your day sales outstanding payments from the customer, you don't go from, if you're at 75 days, you don't go from 75 to 40 overnight. You go from
Right.
75 to 74, then to 72, and then maybe to 71. And then over a 6 month period, you check your progress. Okay, we've gone from 75 to 68. Okay, good. We've taken about 10% off our DSO. How can we get it down to 58? And will it take 18 months instead of 6 months? But you have to be prepared for that journey and prepared for that and take the necessary actions every day to get that result in 18 months.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
good.
exactly
And
what
for
you
the
said in the weight
listeners,
loss analogy.
yeah, John, for the listeners, what's DSO? I don't know all the acronyms.
Days sales outstanding. It's the
Right, that's what I
average
thought.
payable time. If you extend trade credit and if you
Mhm.
give someone 60 days, then your days sale outstanding for that customer, assuming they pay on time, is 60 days.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. That's good. So along the
Thanks for
way,
asking.
yeah, I mean, it's how I learned cybersecurity. Like, I mean, there's a billion acronyms, and I'm like, stop. What does that one mean? What? And then because it all makes sense, and now I see why we use acronyms. Because otherwise, if you kept saying everything over and over, it would get ridiculous. So along the way, you are moving up through the ranks. You're taking on operation roles. Tell us about your segue from sales and focusing on really learning the model, the industry, into executive leadership. Like, how did that happen?
It happened intentionally. I didn't always have a goal like I want to run a company, but I had
Yeah.
a goal that I wanted to be, and this is going to sound egotistical, but it's not. It's just the term I use. I always wanted to be the smartest person in the room. I always
Yeah.
wanted to learn. Like I said, when I was in sales, I wanted to learn how a product was made. When I was as a director of sales, I wanted to learn tool and die. I was in metal stamping. I wanted to learn the accounting side. When there was an audit, I wanted to sit in on the accounting audits just to learn. And I think, David, it was the willingness to learn and the desire to learn and be better got me to a point where sometime in the mid 90s, I was like, well, I'm learning. I know a little bit about this whole business. Maybe I could run a
Right.
business. It was kind of the gathering of knowledge first, and then building the foundation of knowledge of a company and an industry and a market, and then saying, I could do this. I could run it. I could run the whole show. And
Yeah.
then I did it once, and I failed miserably. So
Really? So let's talk about
well,
that. So like
I,
because that's really important. Everybody, it's always easy for that. It's almost like the image that we see, right? Like there's the iceberg and everybody sees the success and the title and the things like that, but they don't realize like all the stuff that led to that, right?
oh my
All the
God.
stuff under the surface.
Yeah,
And
it was
if you don't
1995.
mind, like, yeah,
No,
share with us some of the challenges.
well, I took over a manufacturing company, and we had just lost about it before me taking over. The reason I took over, it was the company had lost about 30 to 40% of its total revenue. Went from like
Yeah, it's on fire,
25 million
right?
in
Yeah,
revenue down to like 16, 17. And I was brought in, and I had to pick up the pieces. And I had a plan, but we didn't have the team, and everyone worked their tails off. And I was too green, and everyone else was either too green or was a little bit leery of the plan. And I don't know if I didn't get buy-in or not, but we did get the company to break even, and we ended up selling it to a competitor. So the funny thing was, I thought it was a failure, David.
yeah.
About 15 years later, I ran into the quality manager of that factory, of that company, and he said, "See, I wanted to tell you, we got sold to so and so, and you enabled that people had jobs for another 4 years by that sale
Yeah, that's
because they
great.
and I never thought of it that way, and it made me feel good. It was a honestly, it
Right,
was on a Halloween. I was walking the kids, and we went to his house by act just because we were in a different
right.
neighborhood, and he said, "See, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so we anyway, but David, for 15 years, I thought I was a total failure.
You were beating
And
yourself up, right? Well,
yeah,
because it didn't go to what your vision was. Like it didn't
yeah,
achieve what you had really wanted to get it to, but
that,
it still worked out.
and
Yeah,
the lessons learned were amazing. Just the lessons learned first and foremost is you can't do it all. Because I was working, and I don't exaggerate my workload, but back then I was working 14-hour days. It was like get there about 5, get home about 7 p.m. And it was just go, go, go. We can do this. We can do it. We can do it. Because that's how I was trained. You just outwork
right.
people. I played college basketball, and it was just I learned that you're not going to get anywhere unless you're ready to throw up at the end of
at
practice.
at practice earlier and things like that, right? Yeah, we
So
always hear those stories of great athletes that are still at
I'm not a
training
great athlete. I
early
was
and they're and they still do it. No, but the point is that it's all about that effort,
yes.
that going above and beyond. Um, Tell me about mentorship along the way. Did you
Oh my
have,
God.
I mean, obviously you were curious. You would take stuff home, you would figure out how stuff got together, how things worked. That to me is the gold, right? Just that curiosity and keeping that. That's the secret, right? But
Yes.
mentorship is so important along the way. Just having somebody that can guide you or can steer you away from pitfalls. Did you have a
I,
mentor at any stage?
I did. I had a couple along the way. Um, One for sure was a gentleman by the name of Andy Cariotis. Uh, Andy was Akronite and just a tremendous individual. He cared about people. But the thing with Andy was an old school president, and he had no problem, like a football coach, old school football coach, like a Vince Lombardi. He had no
Yeah,
problem giving it to you if you weren't doing what you're supposed to do.
right.
And I'll never forget. Andy gave me this nugget of wisdom that I'll never forget. And Andy used colorful language, so I'm not going to use it in the podcast. But he said, "Z, I'm going to tell you. People complain about how hard the job is. The blank blank job. It would be so much easier if it wouldn't be for the blank blank customers and the blank blank people you work with, because that's what makes the job hard, and that's who you have to respect and take care of. Because without people and customers, you don't have a blank blank company." And
Right.
it was so true that, at the end of each day, the customer demands or the
Right.
customer complaints, generally pull you in different directions. And then the people that you work with, they have their
Right.
own idiosyncrasies that pull you in different directions. But once you can master, maybe not master, but be used to dealing
Manage,
with
at
those
least.
two,
Manage. Yeah.
yes,
Con-
manage those exactly. But that statement stuck with me forever, and it will until it move on. But Andy was a great mentor of mine. Um,
That's that's phenomenal. It's always good. I mean, I've heard a lot of people and a lot of people who try and mentor, and people seek mentorship, but then they don't follow the advice, right? Because it's
yeah,
hard sometimes, right? Because
I
they're like, we did something hard, and that's why we're here, and
right.
we made these mistakes. So we're just trying to coach you to not make those mistakes, but you still have to do the hard work too.
And I really want to mention one more mentor because this
Yeah,
person
please.
is near and dear to my heart, and I learned so much from him. His name is Don Murray. He was a colonel in the Marines, and he was in so many. I gave him a compliment one time, and it almost and Don's a tough
He
guy,
wasn't
but
used to it. He
um,
wasn't used to taking
I told him,
compliments.
Don, you are a warrior. You could have grown up in Sparta in,
Yeah,
1000 BC. You could have been in the Peloponnesian Wars versus Athens as a Spartan. And he just looked at me and gave me a half smile. And he's from Oklahoma. He had that little. He said, "Z man, I appreciate that."
that's
But
great. What
Don,
type of stuff did he mentor you on? Like, what did he show you?
he said, "Z man, if you believe you as a manager have to make decisions, and if your decision is legal, ethical, and moral, and you think it's the right thing to do, you do it because you have the background of the legality, the morality, and the ethics. And it's your own ethics, obviously,
Right.
but because that's, and I'll never forget that. And I've used that before. Okay, here's what I want to do. Is it legal, ethical, moral? Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're going to go in that direction, or we're going to do
Right.
this project. Um, but yeah, Don
That's
was
phenomenal.
he was a great guy. I mean, he was in so many battles for this country. He did things. He had 2 Purple Hearts in Vietnam. He was in Desert Storm. He kept a vial of sand from Iraq on his desk.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Don was a
Well,
good
yeah.
guy.
Well, and I think that we have a lot of former military at our company, and there's something about cybersecurity that is very tied to military and, national security. But there's something about the discipline and the motivation that is just expounded upon to have everybody recognize there's a greater cause, right? It's not
Yeah.
about money, right? Yeah, we're not running a nonprofit. There has to be some profit in there, but it's about the greater cause, right? It's about protecting that client. It's about protecting the country and things like that. And
Yeah. And I
things
had
like
that
that people
instilled in
can
me.
get behind.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was
I,
going to say people can get behind that.
I had that instilled in me at an early age. My father was in the South Pacific in World War II, and I
Uh,
was the youngest of 7 kids. And one of my older brothers he was a colonel in the U.S. Army. But my dad, when we would Sunday mornings get ready to go to church, he'd say, "All right, troops, mount up. We're get in the car." We were the troops.
right. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
used to that, and then
Absolutely. So in manufacturing and in the manufacturing environment, how do you build a culture that kind of keeps people engaged, not just employed? Like, how do you get people? We get
you
asked this a lot. Like, how do you inspire people or keep people engaged that you found in your experience?
my biggest strength is listening and very transparent communication. And when I say listening, that doesn't mean that you every suggestion you say, yes, we're going to do it, yes, we're going to do it. No, you listen. Like, for instance, if I'm in our Talmadge factory today, but I was in Middlefield yesterday, and Middlefield's about 3 times the size. I walk through the shop a couple times a day, talk to employees. Hey, how's it going? Hey, your grandson's at Notre Dame. When's he start? Oh, he started school today. And then I'll go to another guy and say, hey, he's a big University of Tennessee football fan. I'm like, hey, who's your quarterback this year? Joey Aguilar, isn't it? And then we'll talk. But as far as listening, like if someone says, "Hey, Z, we need $4 more an hour," I said, "Well, here's how that would affect the company. For one thing, we can't do $4 more an hour. I mean, our average wage is what it is. It's market price, and it's in Northeast Ohio that the market's probably about $22 an hour for, and so we can't raise it by 20%,
Right.
our average wage. And here's why. We compete, and I draw, and I've done this before. I draw all our competitors just within a 50-mile radius of where we're standing, because all these people have this, and we would lose business. And 90% of the people get it. There's always going to be 10% that
Right.
disagree with whatever you say,
Of course.
and I'm fine with that. I really am, because I don't know it all. I make mistakes.
Right.
The only perfect
Yeah.
person ever to live, we hung him on a cross. And so, I have a faith. I don't advertise my faith, but truly, communication and listening is what, and bonding with people as people. There's not
Yeah.
When I walked through the shop, it was great. People in the mailroom like, "Hey, say," they're yelling out to me. It's like, you're walking through, and it's a great feeling, because
Yeah.
I'm no better than them, and they're no better than me. We're all equals. I mean, they know I have the final say, but I don't lord it over them. I just, I
Right.
wear company logo T-shirts, walk through the shop. If it's hot, I'll wear a pair of shorts during the workday. So, I can relate to people as people.
Yeah, exactly. And what I heard you say and what I didn't hear you say was really interesting. And what I mean by that is what I heard you demonstrate for your employees and for your culture is that you were interested. You knew their names. You knew that the one employee had a son playing for Notre Dame. Another one was a University of Tennessee fan. Like, you weren't walking around talking about yourself. You weren't walking around talking about the company and all the exciting marketing things that we're doing or the big contract. You're there interested in them, and being interested and not trying to be interesting, to me, it like really resonates with a lot of people because
Thank
they're
you.
working hard and they want to know that
That's
they're
exactly.
working hard for a greater cause and you're at the top of it. So like the fact that you're interested and you remembered things about them. That goes a million miles.
Trust me, David. The people, we have shop floor work travelers that had the name of the
Sure.
company and our customers. They see that when we get a new customer. I don't need to advertise it. The people see it. Oh, this customer, oh, that's a new one. Oh, it looks like a part we make for someone else. And then as I'm talking, they'll say, "Hey, Z, does that customer?" I said, "Yeah, part of our strategy is we sell to one person in this industry. We want to find their competitors and go sell to all of them." And they're like, "Oh, I like that. I like that. I see that name, da 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 da."
Right.
So people know. You have to. Our people are smart. You don't have to. The old days of, "Oh, don't tell people anything." No, I believe tell them everything. As long as it's not confidential financial information that can hurt us in the marketplace.
Right.
Yeah, this is what we're doing, gang. Thank you. I'm glad you noticed.
That's fantastic. So I want to ask you one thing
Yes.
and give it some thought, but what is one of the toughest people related decisions you've ever had to make as a CEO or in leadership? Like, how does that shape you as a
Just having to terminate person. I don't.
leader?
Even if a person objective performance truly deserves to be
Yeah.
terminated, and
Yeah.
I
It's
can't sleep
still
the night
really
before.
hard. I know.
I
It's
cannot
been the
sleep the night
hardest thing.
before.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
because
It's
that
really
person has
hard,
a
right?
family.
It's almost like a death. Like
Yes,
it's almost like the death of a loved one because you're like, this is not how, like, we didn't hire you to get here, right? Like, and that raises a question of not everybody has the same capacity, right? The same level when they're like when Bob is at 100% and Carol is at 100%, they're not always going to be like able to produce or able to reach the same heights necessarily. But as a leader, your role is not to make them something that they're not. Your role is just to demonstrate and coach them up so that Bob can reach Bob's full potential and Carol can reach Carol's full potential, right?
I couldn't say that any better. And I learned the lessons like that when I coached private school basketball
Yeah.
in eighth grade for 20 years. I was a volunteer coach. It's CYO, Catholic Youth Organization.
Yeah.
And I did that for over 20 years. But on a team, especially at a Catholic school in one grade, you'll get a wide variety of talent levels. And you can't, if a person isn't like a basketball fanatic, and some of the kids didn't even know the rules. So you had to coach them at a different
Yeah.
level and say, "Hey, you can't catch it out there because you'd be out of bounds. Let's see this line here. You got to be inside this line." On the same team, we had kids that are going to play freshman ball at a local high school next year. So I had to really coach them on body balance and ball you man and help side defense. And some of the kids had thought I was speaking Greek when I would say ball you man or help side defense or choppy feet to close out. But you're absolutely right. You have to be cognizant of the different talents and skill levels in your team and coach them accordingly. Gosh, that was a great point because it as you can tell, it resonated with me. And it's not just in CYO basketball, it's in any entity, any enterprise has a variety of talents.
Yeah. I mean, and it gets to that hard, tough decision, right? Like when you have to let somebody go, you're not
Oh,
even letting him go because Bob didn't hit what Carol could hit. You're letting him go because Bob is at 50% of his development level and he's not changing. And you've
right.
tried to coach and he's not listening and he's not coachable. And you're like, "Ah, dude, we can't, like, you got to want it, And
I,
it's
it,
tough. It's the
it
hardest
really
thing I've
is.
ever experienced.
I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I like I say, luckily we've been successful, but I hope I never have to do it again because I'm telling you, David, the night before I'm just laying in bed, I'm thinking, how is this person's family? Are they going to be in a job? Are they going to be out of a job for a long time? Can they find one? And it bothers me. It bothers me physically,
Absolutely.
it bothers me mentally, it bothers me emotionally, and yet I still know it's the right decision for the company. And
Yeah,
it just is this inner turmoil that's caused when I have to terminate a person.
absolutely. So let me ask you this. AI, it's kind of a thing. I think it's going to be popular. And how is it making its way into the manufacturing space? I mean, I've heard stories, I talk to people. Oftentimes it might be bolt-ons to some production equipment. Sometimes it's used leveraged in the office for data analytics and things. What has been your experience so far, or what's your vision of it?
Yes, I'm at the end of my run in manufacturing, and at the end, I mean, I'm hopefully, God willing, I have 5, 6 more years,
Hmm.
but definitely I won't see the full effect of AI.
Hmm.
But what we're seeing now
I
are,
think personally, just to interject, I think we're in like the first few pitches of the first inning anyway.
I
I
agree.
don't think I'm going to see that. I don't think people that are in their 30s right now are going to see the full effect, right? I think it's going to be a while.
It,
Um,
it
but it
and
sure is
when
speeding things up.
I agree, and when it does hit that synergistic level, it's going to take off. I mean, if you look at the advances that the human race has made in 200 years, if you go back to 1825 and just see the advances in technology, and then you take into consideration the computing rule where every computer gets twice as fast in half the time. And if you think about that and project that equation to AI, it's not inconceivable that in 200 years, we could be in a Star Trek type environment where we actually have starships going to, and I'm getting very futuristic, but you asked me, how does AI affect our business? We're seeing AI generated a lot of solicitation and prospecting emails that are AI generated.
Yep.
We use it to on some campaigns on social media to talk about our company. Um, Note taking, AI note taking is very prevalent, and I think to me it's wonderful. I can remember making
Yep.
old school sales calls. I'd have a doggone file
Yeah.
and just
Writing everything down.
writing everything down, and then you
No.
transfer it. And just even 10 years ago, you take the handwritten notes, transfer them into, say, Salesforce.com or Zoho, whatever CRM
Yeah.
you're using, and now you've got recordings and I somebody gave me a recording of an outline, and Coach Jim Tressel gave a talk, and it's just it's I don't know if you can see it, but it's like
Yeah.
outlined very nicely, and
Yeah, it gives you the key takeaways, then it
oh my
summarizes
gosh,
it, then it's got the whole transcript. And what's beautiful is you can search for certain terms that you're like, did they talk about this? Literally search in it, and it does it. I mean,
yeah,
the
that's
ability to make better decisions like is really phenomenal. Like
that's
I
what it really is helping us and how we're seeing it in manufacturing. It's automating simple tasks that we used to do manually. And you know what's interesting? I have to tell this story because I
Hmm?
still do the monthly sales analysis manually. And I
Yeah.
know we could, and the reason I
Why
do
is
it,
that? Why is that? That's interesting. Because
yes,
I still find myself doing certain things manually, and there's a reason for it. I don't know the reason. I would love somebody to like watch what I'm doing and tell me why I'm doing it, but there are certain things that I'm still keep manual, even though my whole world is essentially digital.
and to me, I've convinced myself, David, that the memory chip that I get from manually inputting the data into all these customers' monthly sales and their margins, it sticks with me. So I could
Yeah.
say, oh, I know why our margin was down 1.5 points. The market mix changed because of a heavy concentration in this one. And I saw that when I was doing the monthly analysis and
Yeah,
putting the
and
broad
you
data.
remembered it. It's stuck
Yes.
in your mind. I think I need to get like a neuroscientist on or something to answer this. Like I got to just get on LinkedIn and just, hey, come let me ask you a few questions, because I do think there is something about writing something down manually that creates that synapse or connects those synapses in your mind, because things that I do that with, I am able to speak about, recall faster, everything else, as opposed to just reading vast amounts of data.
It hit me in college. So
Mm-hmm.
first time ever in a lecture hall, and I handwriting notes. I mean, I don't even know if a court reporter could have read my notes,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
luckily that night I would get to my dorm room and transpose them into a really nice notebook. And I would say, and sometimes I'd be like, what in the heck? And I try and look at the context. Oh yeah, that's what it was. And then I'd rewrite them, and I found that I remembered them more. I mean, but during that rewriting process. And so I continued that practice throughout my work and my professional career to a similar extent.
That's fantastic. Yeah, there's got to be a reason for it, right? Like, and because we can automate everything, but then I don't think that we're actually comprehending, or it's not resonating as much.
It is, and I think maybe the next generation, the young people today will learn differently. But I know I'm dating myself, and I'm admittedly old school, but that's fine because there's no substitute for hard work. Vince Lombardi once said the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. And I have that statement right on my wall. There's two statements on my whiteboard. One says, "If not now, when? If not me, who?" And the other
I
one
love
is,
that. The John F. Kennedy. I've
yeah.
said that so often,
And
right?
the other
Because
one
it's
is
like,
the Lombardi quote.
yeah. Oh, Lombardi's fantastic. I grew up
Yeah.
in Chicago and Northern Illinois, right on the Wisconsin border. So,
And
I
I was
grew
a
up a
Bear fan growing up, South Bend, Indiana.
huge
So,
Lombardi fan. Just, he had for a football coach to have so many great quotes that are
oh yeah,
applicable today, it's amazing. Like, what a great time. What a great, like, human to have been available for all of us. Like, it's just every now and then we have those transformative Renaissance people. And,
he was.
if technology was better then, we would have captured a lot more from them,
Oh, we would have.
you know?
And I saw one early employer I had. The orientation was to watch the Lombardi tape, and
That's great.
and
They
I
had a
never forget
Lombardi
this.
tape. That's a good
This is,
employer.
yeah,
That's a good employer.
it talked about Lombardi time, and the Packers would always say, "Oh yeah, the meeting's at 9, but everybody shows up at like 20 till 8:30." Well,
Yeah.
Paul Hornung and Jim Taylor, Hall of Fame backfield, and Hornung was a noted party boy, and so it was preseason camp, and the meeting was at 9 o'clock, and Hornung and Taylor were like, "Hey, we're going to get there early today," so they got there at 5 till 9. No one's in the meeting room, and Lombardi strolls in and says, "Hey, Paul. Hey, Jim." They go, "Coach, where's the meeting?" "Oh, we're already done. They're on practice field. You guys should probably join them, but leave your helmets here because you missed a meeting. You're going to be running today."
Oh. Even, and they were 5 minutes early.
Yes,
But the
yes,
point is, yeah, but really, what is the real time, right?
exactly.
Like, what is,
That's it.
yeah, because that's a good lesson, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. Tell me what's on the horizon. Are you, is your organization expanding? Do you have any presentations coming up? Do you do any public speaking in the industry and manufacturing? Like, I know you have peer groups and all that. I was just curious, do you have anything on the horizon that you're excited about?
I am. First off, the company itself, we've got aggressive growth plans. We want to grow by 25% by the end of 2028. And
Wow,
so, and we're
that's
taking
aggressive.
it is aggressive. And uh, our
That's
board
good.
asked me, we had a board meeting a month ago, and they said, "Do you think you'll get that?" I says, "I don't want to look at the scoreboard right now. I just want to give 100% every day. And when we get to and trust me, we have quarterly board meetings, so they'll see the progress or lack thereof. And they know that. But I just want to instill that in our people. Just do your behaviors every day. A team, you play the game to win. You don't play it not to lose. And
Right.
I used to hate it when I'd have teammates that would constantly look at the scoreboard and like, "Oh, we're down by 3, we're down by 5." Don't worry
Yeah.
about that. Just play
Right.
defense when you're on defense, get a rebound, and then pick and move when we're on the offensive end. If you're open, take a shot.
Yep.
Just play the game. And
Right.
that's what we're doing.
That's
I am
great.
looking forward to, we have a corporate managers meeting here in a few weeks, and we're going to do something in historically, every company would make a PowerPoint presentation, and the respective department managers would talk about operations,
Yeah,
sales.
those are always really exciting, by the way. Like that is like some of the
Death
things I
by
always
PowerPoint.
look forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
death by PowerPoint,
Yeah.
but we're changing it up.
Oh, good.
We're going to do a panel discussion and sit in front of
Nice.
everybody, and I'm going to be the moderator. And in the background, instead of a slide deck, I've got about 13 very hilarious business slides.
That's
And
great.
and do you remember Mad Magazine,
Of
Alfred E.
course.
Newman? So I
Yes,
got a
of
picture of
course.
Alfred E. Newman in a suit, and it says, "What, me worry?"
That's
that's,
great.
that's one of the slides that'll cycle through. And it's funny because as I told you, I'm very transparent. I send our senior management team the slide deck, which is going to just go on in the background. And our VP of Ops says, "Well, those are hilarious, but I think probably the audience is going to focus and laugh at that. And I don't want them to lose track of what we're talking about." And I said, "Don't worry. Each slide's going to be up there for 4 minutes. So they'll get it and they'll be like, ah, that's good. Let's get back to the panel discussion." But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm looking
I
forward to
love
that.
that.
It's
That's
different.
great.
I think and we're going to be able to engage the audience instead of death by PowerPoint,
Yeah.
and so I'm looking
Again,
forward to
yeah, exactly. That's an example of great engagement.
I
That's
hope so,
fantastic.
David. I
Yeah.
hope so.
Either that or the joke will just die.
That's right.
And
That's
that's
exactly
part
right.
of it, right? That's all part of it. Like if you guys had a sense of humor, you'd find that really funny. Okay, if not, that's fine. We're going to keep going.
Yeah,
Would you prefer me to walk through the 80 PowerPoint slides with charts and things? Like we could do that if that's really what you're wanting. And nobody wants that. We all know nobody wants that.
Here's what's crazy.
So,
One of the slides is I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan or not, but it doesn't matter. One of the characters was Patrick Stewart, was Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and he's sitting in his chair and he's just got his head down like this. And the caption is, "When you see slide 1 and you notice that it's slide 1 of 78."
78. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I might steal that. So I'm just letting you know I may steal
That's
that.
fine.
And I'm doing presentations next week, and I'm also thinking I might take the Alfred E. Newman Mad Magazine one too. That's pretty good.
Well,
That is
it's right.
really excellent.
That one is
That's
right
excellent.
after the slide that has we have a are we in a recession? And it's a cartoon that says we have a team of economists, 3 economists, 2 fortune tellers, and I've got a fortune cookie. That's
Exactly.
and the caption is, "Are we in a recession yet?" And then the
Yeah.
next slide is the Alfred E. Newman. What, me worry?
Right. I love it. No, I think that's really good because if people feel comfortable and feel
Yes.
lighter, right? I mean, the best conversations are those. That's why I do podcasts. Like the best conversations are those that are had over lunch or over coffee or whatever. You know what I mean? You're actually just getting down to the root of it. Like, can we do business? Can we not do business? What's going on with the family? Whatever. Like you actually just get to the point. It's really good. PowerPoint's kind of people glaze over. They're checking their email, things like that. They're not really engaged.
It's exactly right. And it drives me nuts when someone puts up a PowerPoint slide and they have like 8 bullet points, no pictures, and it's just all text. And they turn around and read off it. And I'm like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, here's one thing I want to ask you as we wrap up. I do want to ask you this.
Gosh.
I know it's fine. But I do want to ask you this. How do you you've come up through the sales channel, and I will tell you that I've taken I know you're a big Sandler fan, like the Sandler sales model, Challenger, things like that, all good models. To me, one of the best experiences I've had in meaningful helping of a client, right, which is really what sales should be, right, is when I get sold to. So I've been in leadership off and on for 25 years, 30 years. And I'm always kind of pitched to, like somebody wants us to use some new thing. And now everybody has an AI thing. And I sit through some of these and I'll engage some of them, somebody that really has a good hook. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I got to hear this one out. Like this was worth it. I want to give them some time. And I'll listen to it and I'll learn like some really good tactics or techniques that they're using, right? Very good job. Like that's really good. And then you also learn what not to do. Have you found the same thing?
Yes, I have completely. And I will honestly, if I pick up a good vibe from a cold caller or
Yeah.
someone that's just reaching out, I did this the other day. A gentleman contacted me, was selling freight or logistics, and it was a young kid, young gentleman, and he said, "John, this is so and so from so and so," and he says, "Can I get 7 minutes of your time?" And I love the pattern interrupt. That's a Sandler move.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
to sum it up, David, is that when I get those calls, I probably won't move on, but I will coach them and say, you know what, you did well. Here's what I liked about your delivery: this,
Right.
this, and this. And if I may make a suggestion, and the guy's like, yeah, sure, try this, try this
Yeah.
move. When someone says this, oh yeah, I'm going to try that, and
That's
yeah,
invaluable. And that's a great, honestly, that's good mentorship, right? Like as somebody in the field, I like it's a really good practice. I mean, I have learned so much of what to do, different tips, different nuances, and what not to do, right? Like, here's slide 1 of 84. Like we know, like I've sat through those and I'm like, don't
we all
ever
have.
make somebody do that again. Like I remember after one, I was said, this could have been 8 minutes long. Like it was 66 minutes, man. Like you gotta stop this. Like you won't, like, because I want them to, like, I believed in their product or I believed in their service and they were trying. They just had a bad process, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
sum this up. You had like 6 slides that could have been one section on one slide. Like figure that out. Like really, really focus on that because
True.
it's about sitting in the chair of the audience that matters.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
It's so funny because I'm going back to the background slide. One of them is a picture of Bill Murray from Stripes where he's pointing at it and he says, you could have sent an email instead of,
Right.
like you just said, like 9 different slides.
Exactly.
He just summed it up, and
Yeah.
instead of boring us in a meeting with no agenda.
That's so true. Well, one of the greatest phrases I've heard, it's an older phrase, but it's like, I can't be in meetings that could have been an email, right? Like you sit in a meeting and they're like, we have this new policy and we're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like 45 minutes in and you're telling me I could have just clicked a button on some system. That's what you're telling us? Like, dude, that's an email. We're
Yes.
all busy. You have like 20 people on this call. Think of the cost of that meeting. They're all there. They all have, people don't realize like their time has a dollar value to it. And if you've got 20 people on the call spending an hour to show something that literally can be an email that they could read when they're in the bathroom or having coffee or walking the hallway while they're doing something else and still get the message.
Yes.
That's more efficient use of time. Right?
And it's also respect for other people.
Yeah.
It's respecting them and their time
Exactly
and their
right.
value to the company.
Right. And the overall mission of the company, right? Because you're
Yes.
costing the company a lot of money
Exactly.
to babble on for 45 minutes or an hour about something that could have been an email. Like that's not good for the company.
100% agree.
So,
Yeah.
John, thank you so much, man. Great
Well,
conversation. I hope the audience got a lot out of it. I know I did. So
thank you so much, and I appreciate the invite. And I was excited to be on your show. And after completing this, I just feel good about it. Thank you, David. I
that's
really appreciate
great, John. I'm humbled. Well, thank you so much, sir. Have a
All
great
right,
day,
thanks.
and
All right, you too.
we will talk soon, buddy.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. All right,
See you.
we'll see you.